And good evening. It's been a few days since the Alberta government has announced its budget for the coming year. Now, there were some spending cuts that will affect thousands of seniors as the province has announced changes to the Alberta Benefits Program. Now, millions of dollars worth of cuts are being put into place to make up for this year's expected deficit.
Alberta Seniors Benefit will now, as is the case with old age security, include in the eligibility criteria sources of income like WCB, Canada Pension Disability Payments, and also alimony.
As well, seniors living in the country for less than 10 years will not be able to qualify for seniors benefits. Starkey says the cuts were a difficult decision to make, but ultimately unavoidable.
Seniors understand the situation that we have in the budget as well as anyone, and especially our seniors, they've seen good times and hard times more often than we have, and they understand the concept very well of having to live within our means, and they don't expect to be exempt from this process. They understand that we all have to tighten our belts.
The cuts are expected to save the province about $9 million per year. Meanwhile, the Tories' budget is under fire by the opposition party. Clayton Brown caught up with Wild Rose MLA Shane Saskew and got his take on the budget and what it means for Albertans.
It's a budget the Alberta government is calling prudent, but one which Wild Rose MLA Shane Saskew considers irresponsible.
$5.5 billion into debt, a large number despite having record resource revenue over the past 5 years. If the government would have been fiscally prudent, there should be no reason why we can't have balanced budgets in Alberta.
The price of oil is lower than what the PCs had projected, but Saskew isn't buying the explanation, saying all things pointed to the price shortfall.
These numbers didn't make sense during the election. We told them so. Economists said so. So right now what we're seeing is clearly they knew in advance that they weren't going to have these numbers. She promised a balanced budget. She knew that those numbers wouldn't work.
But Saskew's major concern is his belief at the lack of planning by the government for the future of Alberta.
We're going to have debt servicing charges, and if you look at their 3-year plan, it's projected that there'll be over $17 billion of debt by 2016. It's going to take a lot of digging to get out of that hole.
Despite the financial shortfall, taxes will not be raised. In St. Paul, Clayton Brown, Newcap News.
And with the Alberta government looking to make up for the deficit, what does this mean for the border city? Now, while no cuts have been made to the Alberta Municipal Sustainability Initiative, no growth is expected either.
It's about $3.9 million, $3.5 million a year. So if you anticipate that was going to go up 3 or 4% a year, we now have to figure out how we're going to raise some money.
And that's not the only issue the city is facing. Mayor Mulligan says transportation cuts puts future city road projects in jeopardy.
They're going to complete the 2 ring roads in Calgary and Edmonton, and then the number drops off from hundreds of millions, like 500 and some million, 600 million, down to 275 and what have you in the future. That means that some of the road projects that we might have thought were going to be funded once they got done, the Henday and the Stony Trail, they're not in the near-term budget.
Mayor Mulligan says no funding cuts are expected from the Saskatchewan government budget either. A semi-driver suffered non-life-threatening injuries after rolling his truck into a ditch. It happened early Saturday morning around 8 a.m. along Highway 16 near Range Road 51. RCMP say a semi hauling 2 tankers experienced mechanical failure and rolled into the center ditch. The tankers contained water and oil which leaked, but heavy equipment was brought in to quickly clean it up. Charges will not be laid. A 25-year-old Lloydminster woman is facing several charges after drugs were allegedly found in her vehicle during a traffic stop. The incident happened on the access road into Maidstone Friday night. Police seized 3 ounces of marijuana plus drug paraphernalia and cash. She also didn't have a valid driver's license. Now, the accused's name has not been released. She is expected to appear in Lloydminster Court in April. Well, it's a sure sign that spring is just around the corner when you see the Canadian Cancer Society's signature daffodils for sale. Now, the local branch is gearing up for its annual Daffodil Days fundraiser. 50,000 of the yellow flowers are set to arrive in Lloydminster by Monday.
It's a very important campaign. The daffodil, of course, is our symbol, our logo, and it signifies hope in the spring.
The flowers go on sale at local businesses next week for $6 per bundle of 10. Now, the local branch hopes to raise $30,000.
The local businesses here in Lloydminster are so supportive of us, and we really, really appreciate that. It's so exciting to get those big orders in and to go around Lloyd afterward and see those flowers in the local businesses.
And Gerard joining me on the desk. Now, before we get to weather, I should mention that the Canadian Cancer Society is still looking for volunteers to help sell and deliver these daffodils. So anyone interested can contact the Canadian Cancer Society at 306-825-7722.